Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we are actually talking about banks here in the United States because now they must start reporting major cyber incidents within 36 hours of the actual attack. But is this a good thing? Here's what's going on. This is coming from Cyberscoop, and I've got a lot of thoughts on this. Now, banks must report major cybersecurity incidents to federal officials within 36 hours under a new rule that U.S. financial regulators finalized this past Thursday. Now, beginning in May of next year, financial executives will need to basically be forthcoming about computer system failures and interruptions such as ransomware, denial of service attacks that have potential to disrupt customers' access, all those kinds of things. They're going to have to start reporting this to the federal government. Now, the rule, which is known as the Computer Security Incident Notification Requirements for Banking Organizations and their bank service providers, that is a mouthful, was basically cemented by the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. There is currently no specific window that banks must report such incidents to the agencies in question at this time. So, the final approval comes as Congress weighs broader reporting rules for critical infrastructure owners and operators, and the TSA, the Transportation Security Administration, has begun imposing these reporting requirements on basically leading pipelines, rail, and air transport companies as well. So the government is pretty much stepping up this stringency here, and depending on the department, these timelines for reporting are short to longer. So, for example, this 36-hour timeline for banks falls between the leading proposals on Capitol Hill at around 72 hours and the TSA rules that have it at 12 hours, and there you go. Now, besides the requirements for reporting to federal officials, the rules also spell out when banks must report cyber incidents to customers. And for the record, I've got a couple of different thoughts on this. Obviously, I'm all for transparency in reporting. I think that any organization going through a cyber incident, which is potentially a data breach or denial of service or whatever that is, I do think they need to disclose that to the public. But here's the thing, and I think this is one of those things that we learned with Colonial Pipeline, is that there has to be some flexibility in reporting. And what I mean by that is, Colonial Pipeline essentially shut down the pipeline in the middle of a cyber incident. Obviously, they were getting hit by ransomware. And so by virtue of that, they reported, the news got wind of this, and it caused essentially a crisis. Now, here's the thing. When they shut the pipeline down, obviously they stopped flowing gas to distributors, but gas stations had plenty of fuel left, essentially to last the amount of time that the cyber incident happened. It took Colonial Pipeline a few days to get everything back up and operational, and if they hadn't told anybody or the public didn't know, we would not have seen a national panic. And so my concern with this is, if we have an ongoing cyber incident, let's say that's hitting multiple banks at once, as we've seen basically the centralization of attacks through groups like REvil. Think about Kaseya, for example. They hit the Kaseya platform that was being used by thousands of companies to manage their networks, and they instantly hit thousands of companies. Now imagine we have that incident or something similar in banks, where banks are disrupted but not fully down. Maybe your money isn't stolen, but imagine having to report this in 36 hours as you are still attempting to remediate this. The media gets wind of this and basically says, most of the banks in the United States are hit. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, we're screwed. The media loves to sensationalize these things. And then we start having runs on banks. Then we start having panic. And so I think there has to be a balance. While I'm 100% for transparency, Colonial Pipeline should report these things, but I think there has to be leeway to make sure that as we are reporting it, the incident is either on the way to being remediated, meaning operations are resuming public-facing wise, or it has been fully remediated. And if you're not in that position yet, it becomes a very precarious thing. And so there you go. I think reporting requirements are absolutely needed. I'm glad to see that these are going to be transparent. We know that a lot of organizations, in fact, overwhelmingly, organizations do not report data breaches to authorities when oftentimes by law they have to. And so I'm glad to see us stepping this up. But we also have to understand, essentially, for lack of a better term, the politics that are involved in that. And I think that's a really important thing. So there you go. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this, but if you work for a bank and you guys have a cyber incident or the lights go out, then essentially you're going to have to report in 36 hours. and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, and please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please stay private. Thanks, everyone.